Good evening, ladies. Welcome. This was not supposed to have you in the waiting room. So let me just check real quick to make sure that nobody else is waiting. Good evening, Blessing. Good evening, Coach Golfer. Good evening, Paul. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Let's see. Okay, looks like I'm just gonna have to be looking out for people in the waiting room today. How's your day going so far? I hope you're doing well. Welcome to the Better Than a Paycheck webinar. Okay, I'm just making sure nobody else is waiting. And we will get started in a minute.
Hello, Fopsy. We can't hear you.
Thank you. I was on mute. Thank you. Thank you so much. At least you can see my mouth moving. Thank you. I was just saying thank you so much for being here this evening. We're going to get started, and I will keep an eye out for the waiting room situation to make sure that nobody is left in limbo. Thank you for taking the time out to spend with me on this Wednesday evening. This is Better Than a Paycheck, how to make 3K to 10K a month with what you already know. And it's brought to you by my group coaching, Too Brilliant to Be Broke. If you haven't met me before, my name is Fope Nkwocha. You can call me Fopsy. I'm a sales coach for service providers. Uh, I will tell you a bit more about myself later, but for now, I want to know a little bit about you. So tell me where you are joining us from in the world. And if you have a business already or you're thinking of starting one, what it is that you're up to. Tell me where you're joining us from in the world and what kind of business you have or want to have if you are thinking about it. So we can get to know each other a little bit. So just tell me in the chat and I will read a few of them. Don't be shy. Where are you joining from? And what kind of business do you have or do you want to have if you don't have one yet, if you're still in the starting process? I will keep an eye out for the chat. But while those are rolling in, let me give you a bit of an overview of what to expect tonight. So, tonight we're going to be covering the mindset shifts that you need before your income changes because it starts there. Then we're going to go over 3 problems that keep talented service providers from getting consistent clients and what to do instead. You also get to see actual real examples from people that I've worked with that have been where you are and are where you're hopefully trying to go, which is knowing how to get consistent clients, knowing what to fix, and knowing what to do. So the third part is how to fix all three of these things inside of Two Brilliant to Be Broke, which is my group coaching program, and what options you have to take action before Saturday. I have some really juicy bonuses as well that incentivize you for taking action. Let me just go right back to the chat to see if anybody had shared what the journey from you did. Thank you, Nicole from Ottawa. No business yet, but curious to learn. Okay, Ugo from Canada. I want to learn about opening a hair extension business. Awesome. Blessings, Toronto. I want to go fully into content creation. I'm going to go fully into content creation and digital products. Awesome. Coach Golfer, hello. I'm joining from BC, Victoria, BC. Hopefully it's beautiful BC. I think it's always beautiful in BC. I have a coaching business. Hi everyone, I'm Shakwan from Hamilton. I have a cake business. So welcome. You are in the right place. Everybody here is either in business already or thinking of starting one. So maybe this helps us with the next question. Which of these best describe you? There are 5 options on the screen, and I'm going to be reading through them shortly. So the first option is right now you're working hard to stay visible, doing all the marketing things, but income is still kind of inconsistent and you're trying to figure out why. You can't figure out why. That's the first type of person. If that's you, you will put a 1 in the chat. Second type of person is you get leads, but they mostly come from referrals. And if that pipeline of leads dries up, you'll be back at 0. If that's you, you should put a 2 in the chat. The third type of person is that you actually have leads, your marketing is working and all of that, but when it comes to sales, you don't know how to close, or you end up getting a lot of, let me think about it, and then people kind of ghost. That would be a 3 that you put in the chat. The number 4 is that you're charging less than your work is worth, and you know it, but raising your price feels kind of terrifying. That would mean you'd put a 4 in the chat. And then number 5 is that you're starting out / thinking of starting a business and feeling a little bit overwhelmed. The overwhelmed part is a little optional, but you're starting out. So which one best describes you? What number? I see a 2, which is leads mostly come from referrals. I'm going to give everybody else a second to drop theirs. 5, but not feeling overwhelmed. I love it. I thought about that too, that not everybody feels overwhelmed. Some people are just starting out. Number 1 is working hard, staying visible, doing marketing things, so income still feels inconsistent. Awesome. I see we have someone from Nigeria but live in Canada. Awesome. But into couples finance content. Awesome. Thank you for joining. Okay, 1. So a couple 1s, 2s, and 5. No 3s or 4s. Interesting. I just like to know who's in the room and where you're feeling stuck at, essentially. But before we go any further, let me introduce myself a bit more. So my name is Fope. You can call me Fopsy. It's just the nickname that I have gone with and my business is named after. I'm a business and sales coach who helps service providers get consistent clients, whether you're building from scratch or you're scaling past the current income ceiling. I'm joining you from Hamilton, Ontario, Canada, and it's finally summer here, and I'm very excited about that. We have a very struggle winter that I take every chance to get away from. I have held a number of senior marketing roles in corporate, and I did for about a decade. Then I worked at Google Canada. I led the Canadian small business portfolio, so basically helping connect Canadian businesses with Google's suite of products, doing a lot of partnership works with larger orgs. Then I went ahead to a tech startup after that, where I was a senior product marketing manager. And then 7 months into that role, they said they were restructuring or doing something, and then my role was gone. The thing is that I was just like, I didn't think too much of it at the time, but it ended up being a very, very long season of looking for my next role. I ended up being unemployed for 18 months, which is it feels like a lifetime. And the timing was really terrible. I had just bought a house, interest rates were climbing, jobs that had typically come to me, like I honestly never struggled to find a job. People used to refer me, or I would apply and get it. And this time around, I'd interview and nothing. And 1 month became 3 months, 6 months, 9 months. So there was 18 whole months of unemployment. And in this season, I learned that, okay, maybe I can take whatever I know already and package it into something else and, not wait for a paycheck to be the only thing that is a source of income to me. So I said, what do I know? I've worked in marketing. Let me package my marketing skills and take you somewhere else. So I started off, I reached out to a number of chambers of commerces, and quite a few of them ghosted me actually, but one of them replied and then introduced me to a few other people, and I got one gig to teach a workshop, and that was exciting. It was like my first maybe 850 that I got paid for that. And then after a while, it just felt like I was going around in circles. I didn't know what I was doing. So I was like, let me go and look for people that are doing what I'm doing, selling their services, their skills, and let me learn from them. So I hired a coach, and I learned to package my offer a bit more into a product that could be sold. Just gonna admit someone real quick. It is acting up. Okay, there we go. I learned how to package what I was selling into an offer, and I also learned how to sell. And within a short amount of time, I was able to sign 3 clients, one at 997, a few at 25, and I was like, okay, this is working. Into a few months into that, I finally got a role as well, a government job. But I feel like that season, the thing wrong in my head is, let's not ever be in this point where we have just one source of income again, because it's too close to zero, and nobody cares about your bills, your life, your expenses, except you. You're the one who knows that the cost of gas is going wherever it's going, that the cost of groceries is going wherever it's going. And one source of income is too close to zero. That was my big learning from that. And I've since then been doing both. So I now have my full-time job as well as this coaching business. And I've been privileged to work with a range of clients, from pharmacists who were coaches themselves and helping other people to pass exams, to career coaches helping people to find work after a layoff, to when Joanne was starting her social media business and wanted help with that, to a range of people who don't have pictures here that are HR consultants, data analysts, recently a DJ MC, sports coaches, and even YouTubers. So a range of people are across the range of service businesses. I do enjoy the service business portfolio because I find that you're able to charge quite significantly for what you do. And these are some of the results that have been possible in the work I've been able to do with my clients. We've gone from having prices as low as $250 for 4 months of mentorship to changing that to 1,200, and not just increasing your prices, but actually being able to sell at the new price. They sold to 7 new clients at that price. Having a client go from having $200 per hour sessions that were coming here and there, to now having a 2,400 container that was able to not just tell you, okay, this is the problem you're having. I think she's a career coach, and she used to have one-off sessions, and it was almost like a diagnostic. You would just talk to her for that hour, but then she would not be able to follow up with you, see how your job applications were going, see how your interview was going or not going, and it was just like the dead end essentially. So I thought about it and said, hey, instead of giving them a map saying, this is what you should do, this is what you should do, how about you be a guide? And we turned that into a container that was able to take them from being laid off to finding their next job in I think 3-month period. And that's how she was able to increase her prices to this. I had another set of people who went from, hey, everybody that we know comes from referrals, and we kind of want to start marketing to the public. And so they went from 0 public presence to having 67 webinar registrants for their first webinar. And they did this with organic LinkedIn content as well. I had another person who was floundering in the business for about 7.5 years, even though she had been doing it as her main thing, to finally having 5 significant high-paying clients in a month. So beyond doing it for myself, there have been real people that I've worked with that have had these kinds of results. Now, you know who I am. You've seen some of my work. Let's get into what keeps busy people that are talented broke. I think the key way to title this slide was appropriate. Busy work keeps talented people broke. You often will start building the business by trying to figure out what to sell, how to package this thing, instead of figuring out that you need to meet more people and make more offers. A lot of people spend time doing things that feel productive, like redesigning the website, wanting to get their messaging right, wanting to get their positioning right, instead of looking for places to get in front of the right people that have their problem to solve. Essentially, think of it as like, if you have the best lemonade in town, it doesn't matter how good it is, you will probably sell more at a market where there's thirsty people than you will sitting in your room wondering why nobody's buying this lemonade from you, right? Like there's a part of having more conversations. Another thing that we often do is our consuming content instead of creating clients. Consuming content can look like honestly, even being at multiple webinars like this, just going and consuming more and more and more, as opposed to, going and figuring out how do I create my own clients? How do I go out and get data and act on the data that I do have rather than just consuming? Consuming can feel productive. It can feel like you're learning, but if you're not moving, you're not making any progress towards getting clients. So all these things that feel like behind the scenes work, building a website, thinking about thinking, learning, learning, researching, right? I call them busy work. And I know a little bit about it because I also spent time doing it. It felt like I had to be very prepared before I could go out to the people. So this is one of the key things that keeps people stuck, even when you're talented, that stops you from getting as many clients as you need to be getting. I call this webinar Better Than a Paycheck because a paycheck is a very different thing than a sale. I think that a sale is infinitely better than a paycheck. If you do a wonderful job all through the year and you earn a 100K salary, right? They will give you that 3% raise, and the 3% raise maybe comes to 3,000, but you never get that 3,000. A lot of people are in Canada, and I know that they don't pay with their taxes here. So after tax, that comes to a few hundreds, if even, in your paycheck for 2 weeks. If you do the math, it's literally that. But if you make a sale, you can give yourself that entire raise this month. You don't have to wait till the end of the year. Even if you only make a sale a month, which is on the low side, then you can give yourself an extra $1,000, an extra $3,000 every single month. That's why I'm saying better than a paycheck is thinking of ways to create income that is yours, that is in your control, beyond an employer's whims, beyond, oh, the algorithm is not showing my content to people today, beyond I don't know what to change to get different results. So when you know how to create clients, you control your income, not the algorithm, not the economy, not your manager's review cycle. We want you to know how to generate this sale whenever you want to. Now, I said that in the beginning that one of the things we're going to cover today was the core belief that keeps people stuck. And it's this next one. It's that getting clients is a completely different skill from being good at what you're doing. You could be excellent at this skill. You could be really good at it. You could have done it in your corporate job for 15 years, 8 years. It doesn't matter if you don't know how to sell it, right? A lot of us were trained in getting good. We went to school for all these years and we were taught how to get good at a thing, but nobody has really trained you on how to sell. And that's why a lot of people say they feel salesy, they feel some type of way going for the sales. So the gap between where you are being good at what you're doing and seeing it being reflected in your income is learning how to sell. So if you don't know how to sell right now, it's not a reflection of your personality or just like, this is just how I am. It's a skill. It's a skill that you can close by learning, just the same way you learned how to drive, right? When you don't know how to drive, you're probably nervous to do it. You are, it took me so long to learn how to drive, y'all. I did my G2 maybe 3 times before I finally got it. But then I did my G once, which is in Canada. We do a bunch of in Canada. We do not Canada, I think Ontario. We do 2 exams. Anyways, in the beginning, it was a lot of anxiety because I was learning, but it wasn't sticking. But now I don't even think about driving. I just do it because I've gotten so many reps in it. I got the skill, I got the practice, and now it's something that somebody can't take away from me. And it's the same way with sales. You learn how to do it, you persevere even when it feels like it's not making sense, and you realize that once I have this, I can deploy it in anything. I don't always have to sell business coaching. I could decide something else is what I want to do tomorrow. I've actually done quite a few things. I've done gift boxes at a different point in time. I sold flowers at one point too. So again, if you learn how to sell, you can sell anything. And services are really, they're high paying. You can sell how you to get into that job that you have. You can sell the data analysis that you do for your company. You can sell it to small businesses. You can sell the emceeing that you do naturally. It's a very high paying gig for weddings, for things like that. You can sell coaching to help new moms figure out how to, potty train their babies. There's so many things you can sell essentially, but you need to first know that knowing how to do this thing, being good at it, is not the same as knowing how to make money off of it. So let's go through then the 3 things that need to change essentially if you're going to take what you know and turn it into money for you. Okay, just going to pop into the chat real quick to see if anything has come up there because it's been a while since I looked. Okay, so we're all good. You can still hear me okay? Everything is still good? We're good? Give me a thumbs up if we are still good. Okay, awesome. Thank you. So 3 problems, some real clients and some real results. After each problem, I'm going to show you a real person who's had it and what happens when they solve it. The first problem that I think most of us have when we're trying to start anything is the offer problem. And we don't even call it that. And I was struggling with whether to call it what people call it or what I know it to be. But it's the offer problem, and I've now described how you would probably talk about it. It's I need to get my branding right, my positioning sorted, my website done, then I'll be ready to market. If you've ever said this to yourself, don't worry. We've all done it at one point. The only thing is you have to realize that it is not the real problem. It's just what feels like the right place to start. This is how it looks. You could be rewriting your bio for the 4th time on Instagram, waiting to see, like trying to figure out the right messaging that will land. You could be creating content, looking to have your grid be cohesive. You could be more focused on the brand shoot and logo than actual conversations with people that can buy from you, with organizations that can buy from you, because it's not only people, it's organizations too, right? They have the deep pockets. You could be procrastinating. I know that I read so many books on business, on marketing, on getting clients, and I felt like I was making progress, but it wasn't great progress at all. I have another client recently who said she wanted to spend the next 6 to 7 months on her positioning, and I'm like, why? Why do you want to do that? 6 to 7 months of positioning. Why wouldn't you sell? And I eventually found out that, like, oh, she was expecting, and she just wanted to think. She thought it would take that amount of time to, get her bearing right. But we did it in 6 weeks. We were able to go from 3 random business ideas to landing on one solid one, to doing a launch event that was paid and being able to cover that launch event tickets, as well as now having a lead for an $800 gig, just because she said to take action rather than just learning and positioning endlessly. If this sounds like you, it is the offer problem. Why does this happen? We feel like we learn by researching, but in practice, we actually learn by doing. I think that in business, this concept of just-in-time learning wins. It means that you learn what you need and then you go act on it. You go use it. You don't just accumulate it and accumulate it and accumulate it and think that something will happen. You learn, you apply, you learn from what you apply and you iterate. The example I have for this is not perfect, but I think it will help you to make sense of it. If your goal in business is to build a car, right? I want to build a car. You think about, what does a car do for people? It helps you move from A to B, right? Now, I don't know how long it takes to build a car. I'm not an engineer, but maybe some of you here are engineers and you might tell me how long it takes. But imagine it won't be one day. It won't even be 1 week, right? So instead of starting with this grand goal of building a car and then taking all the time to go research everything and wonder if it will work, wonder if, first of all, invest all these resources into it, and then only have no data on if it will work or not. How about you start from a minimum viable version of a car, which has nothing to do with a car? It might be a skateboard. A skateboard can move you from A to B. It won't have the bells and whistles or safety of a car or anything, but it can do the job of moving from A to B. You go test this skateboard on people. It's a small version of what you're trying to do. You test it with real people. You say, hey, do you have the problem of trying to move from A to B? I built something that can help you to do that. You get some feedback on it. You get you get them to try it. You get them to say what they like, what they don't like. Then you go and iterate on it. The next thing you build might be a bicycle from a skateboard. You're still not getting to the car you're trying to build, but you will be getting data from real people, as opposed to being in your head, being in ChatGPT, being in, research mode. You'll be in progress, you'll be in motion. You will have your earliest adopters who might be free beta clients, or they may be paid ones who, say, hey, I see what you're doing here and I buy into it. Let me be the person that buys from you, right? And maybe you go from skateboard to bicycle to tricycle to eventually car or something along the way, but you will learn so much more by learning, applying, and iterating than waiting till you have this whole grand thing built before you take action. Does that kind of land a little bit? You see what I'm trying to get at there? I can't see your faces, so I'm just going to assume that you're nodding in your bedrooms or something. Okay, awesome. I see a thumbs up. Now, looking ready is not the same as making sales. And I think that some of us also are, because we're professionals. A lot of my clients have like multiple degrees, like, master's degree, spent many years in this program, PhDs, pharmacy degrees, doctorate degrees. So we are highly trained and we care about how something looks. So we feel like we need to apply the same thing to business. And I'm not saying to not have any polish or finesse to you, absolutely not. But I'm saying that Clients are not convinced by the flashiness of how you look. They're convinced by the clarity of your offer and the urgency of the problem it solves. So it's not just about looking ready. That's not what makes you sales. It's being clear about what you solve. An offer that solves an urgent problem that your client already knows they have in a market where people are already paying for solutions is infinitely better than anything else that you're doing. So your job is to figure out, is this an urgent problem for my clients? Are they already trying to solve this in some way or shape or form? You only know this by talking to people. So sometimes the best thing you can do is to talk to people. It doesn't have to be you selling to them. It's just finding out from real people what is going on in their lives, right? Before you talk to real people to find what is the urgent problem that my client knows they have, and people, they're already paying for solutions in some way or the other for it. Everything else you're doing is busy work. The photo shoots, the branding, all of that, right? So it's okay to not look ready, but to be ready with an offer. So to test your offer, right, that is this a money-making offer, which is actually the name of the module I have inside of my group coaching to be broke for learning how to create an offer. It has 5 P's in it, but let's talk about this for now. Your client has a headache. You have the painkiller, which is your solution. They already know they have a headache and they're already looking for a painkiller. So your job is to be clear about the problem you solve. Me have headache, you have Advil, me take Advil to make head better. That's simple, right? If you can say your problem, your offer like that, whatever you're selling, as simply as that, then you know that you're in a good market. You have an offer that people want to buy. What is the headache that your client has? How is your solution the painkiller? Are they aware that they have a headache? Because if you're not aware that they have a headache, you might struggle to sell to them because it's not a problem that they are aware they have. If you can be clear about the problem that you have, it makes things infinitely better. So the reframe is stop asking, am I ready to be seen? And start asking, is my offer clear enough to be chosen? These questions are different. And the one that pays you is the one that says, am I clear enough to be chosen? Let me show you how this played out with my clients. So the 3 people here were Tanis, Camille, and Kamoye. One of them was missing on this call. And there are 3 pharmacists. They built a mentorship program for internationally trained pharmacists passing their Canadian relicensing exams. The program was really good because, referrals were coming in, but they wanted to, do more with it and launch to the public, but they weren't really sure how. In our work together, one of the many things I said was the reason why you people are overwhelmed with this work that you're doing. You said you want to market to the public, but you're also feeling exhausted by the admin. Is that the pricing you currently have it at? It's hard to do work for 4 whole months at $50, right? And the response was like, people won't pay for this. We don't feel like we're worth that much yet. How are they going to afford it, right? So one of the things I had them do was understand what this was costing their clients. But let's jump ahead a little bit. After the work we did together, they were able to get to finally raise their prices to 1,200. They had a webinar that 67 people signed up to, and 40 people showed up live. The first person actually signed on the call, and 6 more after. But what did we do together that made us able to reach this pricing? It was then thinking about what exactly people are paying for. I learned that in the pharmacy relicensing world, there's a number of limits to the number of times you can take those exams. So you can't keep endlessly taking it. So there's a hard deadline. If you fail the exam after a number of times, you simply can't retake it. There's thousands of dollars that go into prep material. People are moving from another country to Canada, meaning that they need a job ASAP. And every time they spend, not having a job at their level of education is time that they're spending unemployed. So they were able to paint this picture of what is it costing the client right now to not pass this exam. I was also able to work with them to say, hey, you're calling this thing a mentorship. A mentorship is nice, but how about you raise the stakes a little bit and look at your data. How many people have you helped to pass this exam on the first try? In doing that, it was a different ball game to sell it, because rather than saying we're selling a pharmacy mentorship, they're able to say, we'll help you pass your PBC exam on the first try. And that is infinitely worth more than this. It goes back to this thing of saying, am I solving an urgent problem for my clients? Their clients want to pass that PVC exam. They don't necessarily want a mentorship. Like, a mentorship is nice to have, but passing that exam is urgent to have. And you realize that when this happens, when you're clear about your offer, not only does it change the price, it changes how you feel about the price. They went from clutching their pearls at the thought of charging 4 figures to being the ones that landed that wanted themselves. Don't worry, I don't force you ever to increase your prices. If you're not comfortable doing this, you simply will not, because you're the one that has to sell it. But it changes how you yourself feel about the price. It changes how you see the value of what you're offering. It changes the sales conversations that you have, and it changes how much you close, because you're selling a result that people actually want. Okay, I have said a lot. This is the first of 3, so we're going to keep going so that we actually stick to time. But if you're following along, give me a thumbs up to see that this is landing. The first thing we need to solve is the offer clarity problem. Awesome, thank you. So the second thing is the lead problem. So we talked about offers just now. The second one is leads. Leads are people that, the people that you're going to sell to. Who am I actually going to sell to? Who will show an interest in what I'm trying to sell rather. What does the lead problem look like? It looks like I've run out of people to talk to. It looks like everybody already knows what I do. It looks like I rely on referrals, but I can't really turn those up if I want more demand. I don't know how to increase the number of people I know, right? It looks like the algorithm has changed. I used to have, more engagement to my LinkedIn content, but now it's just crickets. Content isn't bringing anyone in. So if this sounds like you, let me know in the chat. Does it sound like you? Give me a yes in the chat if it sounds like you. If not, it's okay. But this is what the lead problem looks like, right? To people. But the thing is, leads are a lag indicator. Leads are a lag indicator. And I try not to use the weight loss one, but it just makes sense, because everybody has some experience with either gaining weight or trying to lose weight, one of them. Like losing weight, the number on the scale is the lag indicator. Let me explain it like this. If you start the year saying, well, in June now, you started off this year saying, I want to lose 20 pounds this year. That 20 pounds is the lag indicator. Is the thing that would tell you that you have lost the weight, right? It would happen after you have lost the weight. So it's the lag indicator. What happens after you have lost the weight? Now, the lead indicator is, what can I influence that would make it more likely for me to hit this 20 pounds loss that I want to lose, right? Those things could look like eating at a calorie deficit. They could look like going to exercise 5 times a week or 3 times a week. They could look like sleeping better. They could look like, removing certain sweets and sugars from your meal. Those things that you can measure, that you can influence, do more of, do less of, those are lead indicators. But most of us focus on the lag indicator, the thing that we will only know if it has happened when it happens, right? 20 pounds. If every day you wake up and say, have I lost 20 pounds? Have I lost 20 pounds? At least you know that nothing will change. And we treat getting leads in our businesses similarly. Oh, I want to make $10,000 this month. I want to make $1,000 extra this month. How? What are you going to do that will influence the leads coming to your world? Are you following what I'm saying? Is the example kind of landed? I like live sessions because I should be able to see responses. But I think that it's something that is easy to track, right? You can see, if you're only focusing on what the result looks like after it has happened, you will struggle. By the time your pipeline feels empty, the problem was weeks or months ago. You did not do anything to influence how you're going to get leads, how you're going to find more people to learn about your business, any collaborations, any partnerships, any increased content, anything that would bring more people into your world, right? So you can't be surprised that you're not getting leads if you're not doing anything to improve the way you get leads. And some people tell me, I get referrals, all my clients come from referrals. Good for you. Referrals are a result of doing good work, and you've earned them, right? It means that people like you enough to not just come back to you, but bring other people to you. But if referrals are your only source of business, you don't have a business that you can dial up, like that you can increase demand for when you want to. You have a word of mouth hope strategy, and one of my bosses used to tell me, hope is not a strategy because you got to do something, right? So the question I have for you is actually very practical. I think all of us know this business, Amazon. If you were the CEO, if you were treating your business like Amazon and you're the CEO of your business, right? If the CEO of Amazon was struggling with getting leads, they say sales are down, people aren't referring us like they used to do. What do you think they would do to increase their leads? I want to actually see some comments in the chat. What do you think the CEO of Amazon would do to increase their leads if they were all of a sudden people are not referring them like they used to, sales are down, they want to increase their sales, they have a serious target they want to hit? What would they do? marketing. Tell me more. What does that mean? Like, how would they market? Like, what would they do? Just tell me what you think they might actually do tactically. You got to be the CEO of Amazon. Amazon is not a, I feel like I don't feel like doing business today kind of business. It's a serious business, and I hope you treat your business like a serious business. Well, let's stick with Amazon for a second. What might they actually do to increase sales? Somebody says marketing, so they would increase marketing, but what does that mean? What would they actually do so that we don't just have it as a black box? What might they do to increase their sales? Okay, somebody says they'll come up with ways to incentivize the customers to spend. Exactly. Like Prime Day. That's what that is. Do you know that they just made up that day? The same way people made up Boxing Day and everybody waits till December to do sales. Amazon said, why can't we have Christmas in July? Let's do Prime Day. I think it's in June, a few weeks from now. Why am I advertising them? Anyways, they would come up with ways to incentivize customers to spend. So thank you for that. Danny says they would pull the analytics to inform behavior and what might have caused the decline. Yes, they would. So it's a win-win. They'll create a resolution. Okay, I see that you all had comments that came separately. So Kanye had said they will come up with ways to incentivize customers to spend, so it's a win-win. And Danny said they would pull the analytics to inform behavior. Excellent. Thank you guys for those really, really good points. I had similar things in my own notes. I said they would pull numbers to figure out why are sales down. They'll talk to customers who stop buying from them and figure out what's going on. Are you doing that in your business? If you had people that used to buy from you a lot of times before and they just stopped, are you just saying, I don't want to bug them. I don't want to be annoying. I don't want to seem desperate. I don't want to seem salesy. Why is Amazon not saying all those weird things to themselves, right? Treat your business like you're the CEO of Amazon, of Walmart, of all these big conglomerates. Talk to your customers. Find out why they stopped buying. Maybe they moved and now you know, right? And you can do other things to bring in new people. They might also look at what competitors are doing differently. They might review their customer journey to find out where people are dropping off. They might increase outreach, maybe do some flyers, do some ads. That's what I was saying. What do you mean by marketing? They might increase partnerships. I went to Pizza the other day and I saw an Amazon Dropbox there. I was like, okay, very interesting collaboration. But now I guess it's a form of delivery for people, right? They might launch a referral campaign to test incentives. They might call top customers and ask for introductions. Do you do that in your business? They might set a target, assign owners, people to say, this is your goal for 30 days. This is your action every single day. Did you do it or did you not do it? Like, it doesn't sound as whimsy as, oh my God, I just had a $1,000 month. I just had a 10K month, but it's the work. These are the lead indicators that lead to the results that we want in our businesses. Fix the bottleneck instead of discussing the problem endlessly, right? So simply, they won't sit in confusion. They would actually investigate and decide and then act on what they have found. So ask yourself, am I treating my business as seriously as, the big people, Amazon people are doing it, right? The CEO of Amazon minds their business. You need to mind your business. And I don't mean that in the don't gossip way. I mean, focus on your business. If you don't mind your business, nobody will. It's nobody's job to bring leads into your business. It's nobody's job to think of the targets you have and say, how can I do this? It's nobody's job to be aggressive about how intensely they want to market. It's your job. Okay, real quick, I want to tell you 3 core ways that leads come in. 3 core ways. There's really all the other ways kind of fit into this 3. Outreach, content, and ads. I won't get super deep into it today because I have an entire 5-day lead sprint on my podcast that you're welcome to listen to. My podcast is called Money Making Priorities. Wherever you listen to podcasts, it's there somewhere, the lead sprint. I go into how to get leads quite in depth. But every other strategy, this webinar is a form of content. But I also did ads to make sure that people would see me, right? And I think some of you came through ads, so welcome. Speaking, partnerships, summits, there is subdivision of these, but you're not going to do, most of us are individual business owners, right? And we're not going to do this endlessly. We only have so much capacity. So my recommendation is always for you to find your success recipe, which is, what do I do? What are the things I've done that have brought clients my way? Document them. Don't just let them be happening and you don't notice them, because it's more likely that you have certain strengths that the more you do these things, the more people come your way. The more you do these things, you're better at them than other people. For me, it's talking. When I talk, I get clients like this in other groups as well. In person, I'm a really great talker, apparently. It's the Lord's gift to me. So far as I don't lose my voice, I keep talking, right? I do podcasts for that reason. I do seminars with other people. I do speaking engagements for that reason, because I was like, okay, something about me teaching as well. I also teach at local colleges. Something about me teaching is, it helps people to see what I'm able to offer them. I'm like, okay, I do that. I know people that they don't like to talk, they don't like to show their face, they have issues with being on camera, so they do other things. They do articles on Google. They do ads for that they don't have to be in. They do outreach, direct outreach to people still works, right? So finding your success recipe and executing it consistently is your job as a business owner. So I said a few things different people can do. There's different things for different people to do. I have clients who also do a lot of LinkedIn, other clients who do YouTube content. The right recipe is what works for your offer, your audience, and what you will actually do when you're not even in the mood, because business is a long journey, right? I help you find yours as your coach as well. I work very closely with you to figure out what can you do consistently. One of my clients was saying, oh, content was no longer working for her. And I'm like, it's not true. Something must have changed. And we started to dig into the content, and she had started to create a lot of content with ChatGPT, and it was sounding very meh and generic. So I helped her to dig out stuff that her clients were saying to actually sound more like the coach she is inside of her coaching calls, as opposed to just being generic. So I only know these things by talking to you. I can't do it by this one-sided conversation. So coaching helps me to find you a success recipe. I help you to figure out ways to do it better to get better results. I see somebody in the waiting room, so let's let them in. Welcome. Okay, so the next thing is an example of, leads. So Lisa had spent 7.5 years as a career coach for senior professionals who are navigating layoffs and pivots and major career transitions. She actually primarily works with people that, are advanced in their career, so VPs, execs, and people like that. So she was really highly skilled, but she felt like she had hit a wall with referrals and just getting new leads. She felt like she was beginning to just feel like she was floundering. She's the one who I was speaking about earlier that was doing those $200 sessions, even though her clients were, execs, right? And one of the things I said to her was, when you do those sessions, it's almost like you're giving them a guide, a map. You're saying, let's do a quick diagnosis on what you're doing, and then this is what you should do next, this is what you should do next in all these processes. But you don't ever walk them across the finish line. It's like you're in a new city and somebody hands you a map. It's helpful, right? If you can read a map, turn left here, turn right here. But a guide is different. They get in the car with you, they take you there, they stop where you need to stop, they help you if you get lost, they give you the history, they give you context, they prepare you for what's to come, and it's like a personalized support. A guide is worth 4 figures, a map may be a portion of that, right? And so one of the ways we're able to, first of all, increase our prices was because we're able to change the container to be a guide. She used to say that she helps people to heal from a layoff. And I said, Lisa, healing, I don't know about you, but my healing will not be complete until I get financial security. People want to get a job back. If they've been laid off, the healing is not complete until they get a job. So it has to include getting a job. And she kind of fought me about it a little bit, saying like, okay, what if I can't guarantee they'll get a job? I'm like, what do you need to do to guarantee that they'll get a job? How does your offer have to change to guarantee they'll get a job? For example, if you will not do 1 week because you're not a fairy, like you're not trying to get them a job in 1 week. So how long does it take on average for people to get a job? She was like, about 4 months. I was like, okay. So now we have a baseline of how long it takes for people to get jobs. What do you need to be doing by week 2? If somebody tells you they don't want to apply to more than 5 jobs a week, would you say yes to that? Like, what kinds of strong recommendations would you have to give? So we walked through all those things, changing the container, changing the way she had milestones along the way, but also changing her mindset to become the kind of coach that says, hey, not only can I guarantee that you get a job, if you don't get a job, this is what I will do to help you to get to the finish line. And so we're able to go from just healing from the layoff to healing from the layoff and getting the next job. Healing is actually quite important. As somebody who's been laid off, it kind of messes with your head a little bit. Okay, so in addition to all of this, we changed our content strategy. And I was saying that we said to have her, she was saying marketing is such a black box. I don't know if I know what to say. I'm supposed to post on LinkedIn every day and it feels like I'm drawing a blank. But I was like, you have calls, real client calls, and you've done this for almost 8 years. So we're going to go through your actual client calls, your consultation forms, and see what people have said their problems were. That is a gold mine for content. And we're going to turn, every time you have a coaching call, we're going to take notes, right? And take something from that and turn it into content. And she's like, okay, this is actually easy. Content is now finally easy. And she did this on a Monday. Somebody booked a call with her on a Tuesday and they signed on a Wednesday because content became easy. She kept doing this for a while now and started to book consultations more regularly. She had 6 consultations in 2 weeks at one point. And then by the end of our work together, she had gone from $200 sessions to 2,400 sessions. She had signed 5 clients at the 2 4 price, which is about 12K. And she now had a wait list of people that almost had a wait list rather, because she was beginning to get to her capacity of being able to work with clients one-on-one, all because she changed. Well, first of all, help people to see where they were going, became the guide, and changed the container for it, changed how she was creating content from doing it in a vacuum to being able to take the words that people were actually saying to her, which kind of goes back similar to what I said in the beginning with the offer problem of picking urgent problems that people know they have, not things that you feel like solving. Healing is nice, but healing and getting a job are something that you will pay for. Whenever you're thinking about your price, you also have to think about when people see what you're giving them, is this worth, paying all this money for, right? So that was Lisa's story, essentially, and proof that you can go from having no leads to being about to start a wait list just because you change how you're working. The person herself did not change. She didn't go get more certifications. She just changed how she was approaching her work. Okay. The third piece is the sales problem. Before I get into this, let me see if there's anything in the chat that I need to respond to. Okay, we're good. All right. A lot of people feel like they're afraid of selling. And they say things like, I don't want to be pushy. I don't want to be salesy. I just feel like it should be easier than this. If they really wanted it, they should just come get it. Yeah, we all wish it was that way as well. I think that the sales problem manifests in a number of ways. You end your calls with, okay, let me think about it. And then you wait and then it goes. You end up offering discounts before anybody even asks. You have a network of people who trust you, but reaching out feels like using them. You follow up with sorry to bother you again, and it feels like you're begging, right? You give so much for free that mentioning price feels rude, and so you never really ask for the sale. And sometimes it feels like you're doing this in integrity, but your ideal client whose life would literally change if they worked with you is walking away unsold. And so I almost feel like if you're confident at what you're doing is helping people's lives, it's almost like your sworn duty to help them see what it looks like on the other side when they work with you. It's your job to guide them to a decision. If they come to you already, they come to you willingly. When you go into a store, it's because something has drawn you there, right? You want what they're selling. So until they find out what you're looking for, what the occasion is, it's hard for them to sell to you properly. But once they do that, it's not that hard. They just match it to what's available at the price that you want, with the features that you want. And I think that one of the key changes that has to change in our minds, whether you're selling to one person or to 10 people, is that if you want to charge high ticket for your program, for your offer, whatever it is, you have to think that you're a consultant. A consultant is in a leadership position. So you lead by asking the right questions. You help even before they paid you a cent, right? And so you have to be curious about their problem. It's not about you. It's not about the features you have. I was listening to one of the people I listened to in my podcast like that. She wanted to buy a really fancy car. And being a very girly girl, all she cared about was that it was a red sports car. But then the person that was selling went on and on about the features, and it was like they just lost her. And so part of the sales call process is to consult and find out what they care about, right? And tailor whatever you're offering to the things they care about. So when you feel pushy or salesy, it's often a feature of how you're approaching calls, how you're approaching conversations, and how you feel like that you're taking from people as opposed to giving to them. So selling is not out of integrity if you approach it like you're a consultant, like you're helping them. Like your job is to help somebody get a mortgage. Of course, they have questions. They've not done this before. This is the biggest purchase of their life. They have questions. They need to know what to do. You've done this a bazillion times. So you have the chops to be a consultant, right? And to really guide them towards the decision. So it's never out of integrity to ask the right questions, to make recommendations, because you know that what you're selling is a helpful thing to them. Pushy and selling are not the same thing. Pushy is convincing someone who's not a fit to buy anyways. Selling is helping somebody who has already identified that they have a problem, who already wants the solution, to stop hesitating long enough to say yes. And I said this earlier, but again, we sell based on people's urgency that they already have demonstrated. Me have headache, you have Advil, me take Advil and feel better. It's that simple, right? So if you go find more people that have headaches, you will have a easier time selling to them because you are already selling a solution. And Advil is our painkiller, if in case you're not in Canada. So if there is no urgency, you also get to bless and release people. That just means no hard feelings, no hard feelings towards people that don't say yes to what we're selling, because you bless, release, and replace is the full thing, because you keep on marketing, you keep getting leads. You shouldn't be stuck in one person in your pipeline for the whole while. Salesiness often, in my own understanding, is a lack of confidence in the problem you solve. Sales is a skill, it's a learnable skill, and I teach it. So I'd love to be a sales coach. I was saying earlier about driving. Driving is also a skill. At the beginning of learning how to drive, you're a bit nervous about being behind the wheel. I know a lot of people that they drive, but they still struggle with the highway. I love the highway because I feel like nobody's in your way. But it's a skill. The more you get, you first of all, you don't just get into a car and start driving. Hopefully, you get some training. What do I do? Right? Then you go and apply the training. If you only ever get the training and never apply it, you will struggle. So you get trained, you apply the training, and you iterate. You go out and do some more. So it's a skill that you learn, and you get better at it as you go. I have a client who I worked with on something similar to this. It was Toluani. She was starting her business, Content by T, and she had 66 followers on Instagram, no website. So also proof that you don't have to have a large audience for you to be able to sell to anybody. Okay. She was extremely anxious about sales calls, felt like she had to reach out to people. She was going to be using them. Like, why am I? They'll feel like, why am I calling them if it's just to talk about a business thing? And I'm like, well, you're not calling everybody, you're calling those that have businesses and might need your social media services. So we start there for now, right? And before working with me, she had been researching and doing things for about a full year and wasn't really having much to show for it. But we said, hey, in the time we're going to work together, it was actually just a really short stint together. What can we do? We worked together on outreach because she had a large network of people. And I was like, hey, locally, you can already find people that you can call. She had one call where somebody reached out and then they ghosted her after the call. And it was really hard for her at the beginning, but I was like, hey, we bless, release, and we replace. And we kept going. Eventually, one person was like, hey, I've actually been looking for help for this for a while. And the first package we put together was $700. They said yes to that. She did not have to do anything on social media. It was from a personal outreach, right? And she closed that client and they stayed with her for a few months. So anxiety around sales isn't about integrity. It's about not yet knowing how to talk about your offer to people. It's about not yet having the skills to sell, right? When you know the problem that you solve, reaching out stops feeling like using people. It starts feeling like you're doing them a service. I'm going to take social media marketing off your plate. I'm going to help you finally get a mortgage, even when other people have said no. I'm going to give you the best small shop service that you ever could have, and things like that. So we talked about 3 problems today. Busy work that you're doing instead of having a clear offer that people can understand, that is urgent, that people want to buy. We've talked about waiting for leads instead of building a way to actively get leads. And we talked about the Amazon example of what would maybe not Jeff, I don't know who the current CEO of maybe the actually is Jeff still the CEO? I don't know. See me calling him Jeff like we're buddies, but maybe we'll soon be buddies. If the CEO of Amazon wanted to get more leads, what would they do? Right? They wouldn't just sit. We talked about leads being the lag indicator, the thing that happens after you have done all the things you need to do to get leads. And we talked about this sales problem, about it being a learnable skill. And rather than avoiding the close, we learn how to sell. And they form a chain. If you fix the offer, leads get easier. If you fix leads, you get more sales practice with real people. If you fix sales, every conversation gives you more proof that your offer works. So it's not a talent problem that you have. It's gaps in a skill set that you were never taught, essentially. Right? Now, before I move on, is there anything you want me to just kind of go back on, highlight some more, or anything like that? Let me know before I move right on. You can tell me in the chat. We good? Okay. Sometimes I don't know. I'm curious to know how this applies to someone in financial industry where you have to find leads. Well, that's a great question. Every industry has to find leads. So I'm kind of wondering what part might be different for you. So in the financial industry, maybe you're a financial advisor, a workshop like this is very doable. Maybe you're talking about how to plan for retirement savings, or are you expecting your first child? This is what you need to know about the, I think it's RESP, education. I'm blanking, but essentially I know there's an investment for that. That you could, okay, if you're struggling to know how to get leads, I recommend my lead sprint. It is free on my podcast, Money Making Priorities, because I go into different examples of lead magnets and how to attract people with different things. So there are a lead magnet is essentially a complete solution to a narrowly defined problem that once solved reveals another problem that is fully solved by your offer. So if you solve one small part of the problem for them, it's like a taste. You leave them wanting more, and one of them is like a taster. Many of us are familiar with Costco, which is a wholesale store in, I don't know if it's all of North America, but I know in Canada. And if you go there, they give you these tiny samples. That sample is not enough to fill you, but it gives you a taste of what they're offering, right? And its job is not to be generous. Its job is to create desire in you, right? To be curious about this thing enough to pause and decide if you need it. Similarly, you could create small teasers. It could be workshops. It could be free downloads. It could be, there's all sorts of examples of lead magnets. Anything that increases the amount of curiosity. You will do better at knowing what kind of lead magnets make sense for your people by thinking about who your people are and what problems they bring to you. So if their problem is planning for retirement, if their problem is getting out of debt, if their problem is getting couple finances together, then you know what kinds of topics you need to talk about. If that's going to be in your content, if that's going to be in your ads, if that's going to be in your workshops that you use to reach out to people. If you can think about what problems do the people that I specifically work with have, and how can I solve a small, narrowly defined part of it, that I use that to attract people to me. I say, hey, I'm doing this workshop on this day that's about this topic. Come and listen. Or you create a free PDF or something that they're able to engage with. Or you collaborate with someone who has the audience you have as well to reach those people. There's so many things to do. I feel like I'm throwing ideas around. One of the ways that we could do this is actually for me to know your business a little bit more and to give custom consultations on what to expect. We could do that inside of my coaching, either one-on-one or group program. So I'm happy to talk more about that specifically with you. But thank you so much for asking that question. I think it was Simi who asked. Awesome. Hopefully that was a bit of a thought starter for you. Okay. So the framework behind my client results is not just more information. I'm a fan of learning, but I learn just in time, and I think you should too. I think that you should learn, apply, iterate, and then go from there. So I want to show you that all the things I've said are things that have also turned into a framework that help you to turn what you've learned today into clients, into sales, and consistent revenue. I want to also take a moment to introduce to you my group program, Too Brilliant to Be Broke, which is one of the ways in which I work with you to turn just this knowledge into how can I apply this to my own business? How can I apply this to the idea that I have? What do I need to do? So, introducing Too Brilliant to Be Broke. Too Brilliant to Be Broke is my 12-week group coaching program for service providers. And the promise is to build a money-making offer and a system to fill it, to help you to hit consistent 3K to 10K months instead of random income swings. It is built for busy people. It's built for people that have a lot of things going on in their lives. And this is one of the main ways to work with me. I have a few other ways that I'll tell you about, but I just wanted to, start here because I know that a lot of people are starting out in their journey or feel like they've stalled in some way or the other. And when I say it's built for busy people, I truly mean it's built for busy people. I have a full-time job as well as this coaching business, so I built it for people like me as well. It's not a course that you'll never finish. It's first of all delivered to you via a simple private podcast feed straight to your phone. If we're always on our phones, so I know that we'll have time to listen to it. I did it that way so that you don't have to log into anything to sit down at your desk to watch. You can listen to it while you're driving, while you're walking your dog, while you're making dinner. It's a very short curriculum as well. In 1.5 hours total, you finish it. I'm a fast talker, so I don't think you can listen to me on 2x. But if you can, then you listen to it in a shorter time. It's short enough to finish, but also practical enough to use. Now, the first module covers one of the core problems that we talked about today, which was a money-making offer. How do you build an offer that's an urgent problem that people are looking to solve? That's really the question that the money making offer seeks to answer. How do you build an offer that people are looking to solve and it's urgent for them? And it has a full 5-part framework that I have 5 P's after. One of my favorite P's is the picture of their life, of your client's life, if they don't take action and if they do. So it's almost like you paint a contrast of what happens if they take action, what happens if they don't. It's one of the P's, there's a few others. And it's a really great starting point, but also a great one to use to audit whatever you're selling. So if you already have an offer, I'm not saying to scrap it, absolutely not. We often tend to build on existing foundations that people already have, but it's a really great start. And it's also very short. I think it's just about 27 minutes. So short relative to whatever you think is long. The second bit is the money-making leads. Excuse me. As well as a bonus that I added to talk about how to never run out of leads. If you have an offer that's really good, you still need people to sell it to, right? How do you get leads consistently, not just when you're desperate or when a referral comes in, right? We talked about 3 lead sources earlier: content, outreach, and ads, but you don't have to do them all at once. How do you find the one that's uniquely yours? How do you document it and how do you repeat it? This is what this model teaches, the money-making leads model. So we've got the money-making offer and we've got the money-making leads. The third part is the money-making sales process. I'm missing the process here. And I created a guide sales conversation structure that helps you to guide people to the sale. I said earlier that you're a consultant, whether you think of yourself as one or not. Content creator, if you're working with brands, you're a consultant, right? And you want to be able to put that consultant hat on to guide people to the conversation, especially if you're selling a high ticket service. Did you just lose my screen or are you still seeing? Because it blanked for a second. Can you still see my screen? I did something that moved things around. Give me a thumbs up if you can see my screen. Okay, we're good. All right. So how do you also this has the guide sales structure, sales conversation structure, but it also covers how do you handle objections without discounting. When people have questions, okay, but how can I cost more than therapy? How do I answer that? When someone says I have to talk to my wife, what do I say to that? Like, how do I guide people through conversations without also discounting the parts that make them human, right? We teach you how to do that and how to have much higher close rates, and even aim for 100% close rates where applicable, because if you've done all that work to get people through marketing, you've done a good job enlightening them about what you offer, you can have 100% close rate. We also have live sales workshops where you come on coaching calls and bring real problems and we troubleshoot them together. One of the objections that my client Lisa was facing was the wife objection, because a lot of people had clients in mail and it was their wife that would say, hey, I need you to get a job. But sometimes the price will come up and they'll say, oh, I need to talk to my wife. And I was like, that's not a problem. Ask them, what kind of question do you think your wife would have, right? And help them to be equipped to have that conversation with their wife, right? Don't just leave it open-ended. And ask questions. Questions are good. One of the times she did that, she said, okay, so what kind of questions do you think your wife would have? The wife actually happened to be right next to the person, and so they just turned the camera and said, she's actually here. And so she joined the call. And I know some people might find that terrifying, but she was like, the person just said, I've actually been listening to the whole call, and I think you're the right fit for him. I have no questions. So that just saved her the back and forth of, oh, okay, I'll get back to you. And not everybody that says I'll get back to you gets back to you, right? But you have to be willing to go there and be comfortable to, ask questions and believe that if somebody has made all this effort to come to you to book that call, they really want to work with you, right? Sales is so close to the money that I'm not letting you lose it here. So this money-making sales model is entirely based on how do you get somebody across the finish line to work with you. Okay, there's 2 other parts that are not models, but they are disciplines that I layer in on our coaching calls. And they are the money-making mindset and money-making execution. I skipped ahead. So the first thing is that you can have all those 3 things we talked about: offer, lead, sales, and still not execute. You've bought things that you just consumed or even did not consume, right? And you still didn't execute. Maybe you still price from fear. Maybe you're still thinking about the offer after many months. But because we bring all those things to our coaching calls, we have weekly coaching calls, it's not just theory, it's applicable every single week. We apply it, right? We apply this money-making mindset and money-making execution disciplines to our work together. The execution part is that I actually ask you to score your execution. So if you say, I'm going to create more content this week, I don't just say, okay, That's good. I say, how many pieces of content will you create? You say 3. The next time we have a call, I ask, how many did you actually create? Because again, we said earlier that you cannot measure the lag indicators, like the number of amount of money you want to make, but you can measure lead indicators, what you would actually do to influence those things. And so I focus on what we can control, and then we measure how much you're doing it. Because if you have a goal and you're not doing anything to hit that goal, it's a bit of a pipe dream, right? So on our coaching calls, we apply money making mindset, money making execution to troubleshoot mindset challenges that are coming up about how much you're worth, how much things are on your plate, what is possible for you or not based on your experience, based on your life. And also, even with the time you have, we right size things to fit you. Okay, so I don't just teach, I coach every single week. I also want to know, what have you tried? What has worked? What hasn't worked? Where are you stuck? Not what you thought about, but what you actually did. I find that people that get the best results are people that bring data to me. Data meaning that they don't just say, oh, I listened to this. What do you think about this? This is what I did. This is what worked. This is what did not work. And then we're able to iterate on it. I really believe that iteration is how you apply the knowledge that you have. Knowing and doing are very different things. Doing pays you, and I want to help you to do more. That's part of why I coach you to do more with money making execution. Now, what do coaching calls actually look like? Well, we do coaching calls on Fridays at 12 p.m. EST on Google Meets, just like you are here. So you're able to get to Google Meets. You get coached on your actual problem that you're facing that week. This is on the group coaching call. If it's one-on-one, we agree on a time together and you have the entire hour to yourself. But for group, it's an hour together on the call. It's both coaching on strategic issues, leads, offers, employees. Some people are great and have employees, tactical things, tariffs, and sometimes it's strategy, sometimes it's mindset, sometimes it's a working session like, hey, I'm working on this page for this flyer, this ad, and I want your eyes on it. And then we're actually troubleshooting that on the call, or I do some email support after. And if you cannot make it live, every call is recorded and posted on our private podcast. So you're able to listen to other people getting coached and get coached by it. I'm in a number of programs myself, and I used to think until I bring something to coaching, I can't get help. But you will be shocked by how similar our problems are, right? And people are living our lives. And so hearing other people get coached is so powerful as well, because you can also see how they're thinking, and you can find errors in their thinking that you also have, right? And correct yourself. So I said this earlier, but people who get the best results show up every week with data, not just thoughts, but data on what they've done, what they have not done, and what they will do by the next week. So live coaching calls, but also recordings of these calls if you can't make it live, because we are built for busy people in mind. Now, we've talked about a few things. So the money making offer itself, if you were just learning how to make an offer, could be worth $1,500. Money making leads, learning how to generate leads all the time so that you have your business never running dry, could be worth $1,000 on its own. The sales part model, as well as live workshops to troubleshoot issues that you're having, itself could be valued around $1,500. Having live responses, live feedback on your own personalized issue, in a group setting, being in a room with people that are making businesses grow, not having to talk to ChatGPT, but talk to a real person, not having to ask on random forums or threads or crowdsource ideas, but being in a private place where you can troubleshoot things together, by itself is around $3,000 in its value. You also get email support for client issues. Sometimes I have people message me about, I need to fire someone and I don't really know how to do it. Well, what do you think? Or this is what I'm planning to do. What do you think? And we'll talk through client issues. We review sales pages, marketing assets, and this on-demand reviews via email usually turnaround is, I say 48 to 72 hours, but really I'm fast and I will reply in, usually a day. That kind of support over the 12 weeks is by itself potentially worth $1,500. And if you go with the lifetime option, you have access to not just these modules, but everything I've created in the past as well, like the Trade on Trust content workshop that helps you to create pillar content so that you don't have to always create content every single week. You can create a few pieces of pillar content that you revisit, you repurpose, and that answer the core questions your clients have. You get access to the Q for Money Now session that was done last year on how to create money now, not later. So for this time, it will be how to hit whatever sales goals you have for yourself by the fall. The lead sprint, you get the access to that, but also much more. And that itself, the backlog of resources is in itself worth at least $1,000. And if you add all these things together, it's around 10,197. But your investment in the group program is $997 USD. And all 3 payments of $397. So you could pay one-time payment and get a discount of $997, or you could pay 3 payments and get $397. Now, This is one of the core foundation way to work with me. But if you're like, okay, this sounds good, but I want it to be extended beyond this, you have a second option, which is a lifetime access, meaning that this doesn't end after 12 weeks. You get access to every subsequent cohort, right? You get more time together. And this is the one where you get the full workshop vault in the lifetime access. And this is for the person who's in it for the long haul and wants long-term support. This one is 2,500 USD or 5 payments of 500 USD if you want to choose the lifetime option. The third option is one-on-one. It's if you don't want to be in a group, you want to be in private coaching, weekly one-on-one coaching with Fope, which is me, for 12 weeks. Everything in lifetime access is included. We review your offer, your leads, your execution, your sales, what worked, what did not work. You do it directly with me. You have an hour every single week that's dedicated to you. You have unlimited email support between calls. And if you don't make at least $10,000 in our work together, I coach you for another 3 months because I'm that passionate and dedicated about the work we're doing. And I also want results. I don't just want, pleasantries. It was nice to work with you. I want you to actually have an ROI on this investment. And so if for any reason it doesn't happen in the 3 months that we're working together, I extend you for another 3 months. So that's how much I'm backing the work that I'm doing. So you've got 3 ways. Either you start with $997 with the group coaching program, you start with the lifetime access program, or you do one-on-one. I think of it as, do you want to get there in a Toyota or a private jet? I don't have a Toyota, it's beautiful, but I also know that private jets are much more comfortable and they're customized to your own needs. So what do you need to do? All 3 things lead to the same place, consistent client. And so if you'd like to work together, Saturday's decision day. You have had an excellent time with me this night, but I've created some slots for you to talk to me. There are 20-minute slots for the group coaching program. And then if you want to do one-on-one, you book, there's an hour-long one call that we'll have to just kind of gauge fit for each other because it's I want to spend more time together. So the place to go is to fopsy.ca/call, or you can just scan this QR code. If you are going to need any support in growing your business over the next 12 weeks, you want to see what it would look like to work together, book that call. We get to talk about your specific situation. You'll create a custom plan for you, answer your specific questions in private. You have 20 minutes with me on Saturday. Saturday is the only decision day for this round. And this is actually the last time I'm going to be offering this for this year until next year. So if you'd like to work with me in this round, please book a call, scan this QR code. The link takes you to fopsy.ca/call and you'll be able to book your call. So another thing I'm adding on is, actually there's more. There's more. For the group coaching program, you get to try it before you decide, essentially. You have a 7-day money back guarantee. So meaning that if you join, you attend the first coaching call, you go through the modules, actually all the modules, not just one, and you get to decide from the inside, is this for me or is this not for me? Basically, you don't have to decide from the outside. So if you try it and you don't like it, you get nothing to lose. But if you try it and you like it, then you get to stay and you work together, and you could be the next person on my testimonial slide, the results that you have, right? So try it before you buy. Try it from the inside, essentially. You also get 2 extra bonuses. If you join before Saturday, I said 48 hours, but I'm going to keep it till Saturday. You get, for any tier, any of the tiers, first 997, 25, or 6K, whatever it is, you get an extra one-on-one call for an hour to use within your first month of joining. And so that's a private time beyond the group coaching time to walk through your offer, your leads, your sales sticking points, your top priorities for the first 30 days, so that you don't have to figure out where to start from. And you get a custom plan before the program even begins. So this is the bonus money-making priorities call that you get. Now, it's 1 hour of private coaching. It adds immediate momentum and a personal roadmap, gives you a taste of what private coaching looks like if you're not going for that option. And so don't snooze, book your call at fopsy.ca/call. So that's the first bonus. I said bonuses, so there's more. The second one and final one is a 30-day offer challenge. So I created a 30-day offer challenge that is already available. And my goal is to get you doing faster. And so I thought, how can I get you to be faster? I want to be in your ears for 30 days. So it's already ready. And once you sign up, you get 30 days of meet more people, make more offers. 30 days of your sales coach in your ears. telling you exactly what to do every single day. And my goal is to get you to do a sales action every day. Sales action is different from business work that's like might have you serving your clients. It's good to serve your clients, but are you doing anything to actually generate more sales? So I want you to have daily sales actions, daily habits, daily momentum. It replaces posting and hoping somebody will reach out with structured in here accountability. So you have that in addition to whatever method that you already have access to me. And the ultimate thing is that it speeds up your next sale, whether it's your first sale or your next sale. You get this accelerated action essentially. So we had this table that showed all the lovely numbers earlier, but now when we add on these two extra things, a money making priorities call that you get to use within your first month together, we're at 500 USD extra. The 30-day money making offer challenge essentially is 497. So we are getting the total value up to 11,194, and you get to get a taste of this at just 997 or 3 payments of 397. So you can get started right away by booking a call. So book a call for Saturday. I have 12 slots, so please don't snooze. You get priority on the slots that are available. I'm going to be on calls between 10 a.m. and 3:30 p.m. So you get to pick your call time by if you head over there now, and once they're gone essentially. I want you to make more in the next 12 weeks than you have all year. If you join 12 weeks from now, you will have a clear offer that you're proud of, that makes you money, that solves an urgent problem that your clients have, whether you've ever sold before or you are trying to scale and hit the next goal. I've worked with, immigration consultants trying to reach new people, mortgage specialists trying to hire a team, and basically to expand that team, they need more leads essentially. So you're in good hands. I have a range of clients I've worked with from all sorts of industries, right? So from 12 weeks from now, you have a clear offer that is making you money, a lead system, a sales process that you're proud of, and clients, income you understand and can repeat, and a skill set that belongs to you permanently, which is the skill of sales. If you don't, the 12 weeks will pass away regardless, and you will still be talented, but will your income match that talent that you have, right? I don't want you to be too brilliant to be so brilliant and still not having the funds to show for it. So please book your call and let's work together. We have 12 slots this Saturday. It's decision day. And before we go any further, I guess, do you have any questions? If you have questions, please put them in the chat and we will be going over them shortly. Okay, so any questions you have, please put in the chat over here. And then we'll go through them. But in the meantime, I have a few questions that I pre-prepared that might help you to maybe answer any questions that you already have essentially. Is this right for me if I'm just starting out? Yes. Module 1, which is the how to create a money-making offer, is built for people that are overwhelmed beginners or want a fresh start. So building it right from the start saves you months of guessing. And let me show you an example of my client, MY. MY had 3 business ideas that she couldn't really choose between, and she wanted to spend, about 6 to 7 months positioning and building a website. But I was like, yeah, let's not do that. The best test of whether somebody will buy your offer is if they open their wallets. And, when you talk about the offer, they open their wallet to buy from you or they ask you questions about it. So let's put it in front of real people. So in under 6 weeks, we're able to evaluate the ideas. Actually, it was in the first 2 weeks. Evaluate the 3 ideas rather, pick the strongest one, create a strong offer. We did a launch event just this past Friday. It was a paid event. The goal was to sell 20 tickets, sold 25, which helped her to cover the cost of the event, but also was able to generate a hot lead for a $800 gig. She's a DJ MC. So that was pretty awesome. So if you're starting out, you're in the right place, and there's other people like you that have worked together to get these results that you want to get. The next question I have is, what if I already have clients? Please, if you have any questions, put it in the chat. I'm going to go look for them, but just wanted to make sure that I have a few questions prepared in case you didn't have any. What if I already have clients? This is also a good place to start. Actually, most of my clients start here. They have some proven demand, so it's not like they're starting from absolute nothing. What we're doing is removing the ceiling, the barrier to your next level, to dial up how you get leads so that you're not just getting them sporadically, and to make sure that your sales process closes consistently. If you're not closing the sales that you do have, like even if you only get 5 leads, if you close all 5, that's all you need. You don't need a bazillion, right? So we're strengthening your sales process so that you are closing the clients that do come to you, the leads that come to you, but also making sure that your offer structure supports the income that you actually want. A lot of people are charging what they're charging, not because they don't want to charge more, because they don't feel confident charging more. They also don't know any better, essentially, or feel like the market won't respond to it, or feel like this is what everybody else is charging. And so this is what we do with Lisa, who went from being 7.5 years in business and having a $200 per hour session to now having $2,400 containers, where she signed 5 new clients, aka she closed 12K, and has 12 more consultations in the pipeline at the time we stopped working together. So real people like you, real results like you. Can I do this with a full-time job? Yes, you're looking at me as proof. I have a role, a senior program advisor role with the government. I have clients that have several kids, that have caregiving responsibilities, that have full-time jobs, that are leaders in their local organizations, local churches, local not-for-profits. They have full lives. So it's not only if you are fully in business, although if you're fully in business, there's also something for you. Actually, I would recommend private coaching if you're fully in business, because I'll be able to touch all parts of your business essentially. The curriculum is intentionally built as a podcast to make it easy for you to consume on the go. It's execution focused. It's 1 to 2 hours per week. And the question isn't whether you have time, it's whether the next 12 weeks pass with or without having more than a paycheck. This was literally the title of the webinar itself, better than a paycheck. So do you want the next 12 weeks to pass with only having one source of income, or do you want to have more? What does the coaching call look like? We talked about this briefly. Fridays, 12 p.m. EST for the group coaching call. For one-on-one, we get to pick a time together. So please, we'll do that at the moment we confirm payment essentially. So please book your call at fopsy.ca/call, and we'll talk more on this. You come with your real situation on every single call. You get coached on what's actually happening this week. So I ask you, what's happening this week? What are you doing this week? What are you hearing from your clients this week? What is happening in your business this week? And we work on both strategic issues, mindset issues, and live working sessions as well. If you cannot make this call, we have call recordings available on the private podcast, so you get to run it back anytime. If you're thinking, I've bought programs before, they did not work. How do I know this will work? Lisa had the same issue when she came. She actually said, can you help me on our sales call? Like, that was the last question she had. And I was like, I will just spend this entire hour, talking about what we'll do over the next 12 weeks. What do you mean, can you help me? At the time, that's what I was thinking. But I did answer the question. I was like, yes, I can help you. This is how we help you. This is what we're going to work on together. And at the end of our time together, when we're doing this post-coaching testimonial, which is how we got these videos, you can actually watch, I think, most videos on my sales page, fopsy.ca/call, if you want to watch the videos. If not, you can always email me and I'll send it to you. She said the question was actually not about whether I could help her, but more like, I've done so many things to try to grow this business. Like, can you actually help? Essentially, like, can I believe in myself to try this again? And I think that it was, for her, one of the final things she did, and actually that moved the needle for her. You could see the results she had. So if you're struggling, you feel like, I bought other programs before, they did not work. I think that there are many reasons why programs don't work. There's maybe how well you implemented the program itself. There's the way the programs are built. Some programs are built with just content without any implementation focus. And so you consume and it feels like you're making progress, but you're not making progress. Too Brilliant to Be Broke is not a content library that you just consume. It's actually working with you hand in hand to see exactly what you need to do in your business each week. It's weekly when making priorities. It's also built on the disciplines of the 12-week year. I love that book so much, and how it makes you to set a goal, not in a vacuum, but also figure out, what do I need to do to get to where I want to go? So every week you bring your real business, your real blocks, we walk through it live. And when I asked my client, Hanis, what would you say? Like, I was talking to her in our own testimonial call. She was like, just do it. But also, you never left us wondering what to do each week. It helps us to get moving, because you were always telling us what to do. You simplified it to work around our lives. She was a mom. She is a mom who also had a full-time job. And so, like, I know what that means. And if you're just still curious about it, I have a 7-day money back guarantee as well. You're able to try it for the group coaching program, not for the one-on-one. How is this delivered via audio podcast? You can listen on Apple, Spotify, no portal, no logging in. You just get to come to listen to the curriculum and then come to the calls. It's very simple. If you're not sure which option to pick from, book that call for Saturday. That's what the call is for. I learn where you're at. I make a recommendation. Honestly, I'll tell you which one fits your situation as well. So book your call at fopsy.ca/call. There's 12 slots for, let's just say, June 13th. And when they're gone, they're gone. So please book your slot. Is this specific for a particular niche? No. Offer clarity, lead generation, sales conversations are business fundamentals. I've worked with pharmacists, career coaches, social media managers, brand designers, HR consultants, immigration consultants, translators, sports coaches, YouTubers, life coaches, creatives, DJs, MCs, gift baskets, souvenir people, data consultants, and more to come. It works for all these niches and more. The framework applies to all. We customize it to your situation in the coaching, for sure. What's the difference between Too Brilliant to Be Broke and private coaching? Toyota versus private jet. None of them is bad. They all move you from A to B. So if your goal is to get consistent clients, they will work. But private coaching is 6,000 USD or 2,200 every month for 3 months. It's 12 weeks, it's one-on-one. If you do not sign at least 10K in clients in the time we work together, you will work with me for another 3 months for free and we'll get to that goal. I essentially don't quit on you if you don't quit on me, if you show up. So if you're actually engaging the coaching and applying it, we will see results because we will try new things. The Too Brilliant to Be Broke is 12 weeks for the 997 piece. It's 25 for the lifetime piece. It's the framework that I walked you through. The key difference between them is the amount of proximity you have, right? In the group call, it's a real life situation. It's live coaching. It's also learning from others being coached. In private coaching, it's every minute is yours. It's customized to you, personalized to your situation, and it gets to touch different parts of your business. The goal is still to make money. It's actually called money making priorities. The private coaching is called money making priorities. So remove anything from your table that's not making you money. But if you're struggling to figure out which one is for you, book that call for Saturday and I'll help you figure it out. What about the guarantee? 7-day money back guarantee for Too Brilliant to Be Broke. So join, attend the first call, go through the models, make your first offers. And if you're not feeling it after 7 days, if it's not right, I will offer you a free refund. However, I will ask questions. I just want to know what I could have improved and I will take the feedback and improve it for the next set of people. I'm very confident in what I've built. I'm confident in the client results I have, and I'm confident in your ability to make this work for you, regardless of whether you're about to go on mat leave, regardless of whether you are somebody that has a full job already, regardless of how much time you have or don't have. I know that you're able to make this work. What if I join and I don't know where to start? That's another thing that Saturday's call will help you do, help you to map out where to start from, what to do in your first 30 days. And it's if you actually join, you can immediately start. You can book that call once again at fopsy.ca/call. And I left this for the last one. Maybe I should have said it earlier. If you want to just skip the call and just pay and join and get everything because you're ready, you can do that as well. Head over to fopsy.ca/group-payment or scan this QR code. I think it works. And you can just skip right ahead to payments and we will get started together. Now, any questions? Any questions? Oh, I wonder how some of the advice given today applies to dessert business. It's not exactly a life-altering business like helping people pass exams that will launch their career. I guess I'm trying to figure out how to position my products or services as something that people need. That's a great question. So it is a service business in that it's a product business because you're selling a product, but it's also a service because you're curating an experience. And I know your business style. So I would say that the urgency is around why do people have dessert tables? Like, why can't they just do by themselves? Maybe it's the convenience of it, right? It's the aesthetics of it. And so far as people are already looking for this, it means it's important to them. It's important to them. So my first thoughts that are coming to my head is I would actually work on how do I position myself to be a partner in the places where people already are going to look for these services. So for example, what else do they book when they are doing events that require a dessert table? Is it a wedding planner? Is it a hall? Is it a event planner? Is it a caterer, right? What other service am I complementary to? The thought that comes to my mind is, when I go on vacation, I often like to do a tour. So I'd like to do all-inclusive resorts. And then if I go to an all-inclusive resort, I would do a tour as a package added. But I don't often book those tours in advance. So I go to the vacation and then when I get there, there's often a table in the lobby of the resort that has all these vacation packages. Now, the way those tours make their money is by positioning themselves where they know that people are already going to be. There are people that are tourists who want convenience and soft life. they're already going to be in those resorts. So they just position themselves there. They have a representative there at the tables. So it could be a similar, that's a partnership. It could be similarly making a short list of who are 50 event planners in the area that I need to collaborate with, that I need to introduce myself to, and let them know that this is what I do. Maybe even offer them, a sample delivery or something so they get it and be in the top of their mind for them. What other services do people book along with baby showers, bridal showers that I can collaborate with? That's one. Um, the urgency piece, I think, is already there because people want it, right? So not everybody gets to like be a painful need. Some people are pleasurable things as well. Like nobody really needs a Ferrari, but we buy them, right? So I'm just saying that like it might be a different approach, but it still applies that you have to um not wait for leads to come to you. I think the offer is good. If you've sold your offer a few times, I might leave it that it's good enough to start with. I might just focus on how to get more people to know about it and how to get the word out there some more. That's my thought on that right now. But happy to walk through it some more with you inside of coaching or on our call together. Okay. Anybody else have any questions? I hope that was helpful. I'm curious to know how this, I think I already answered that one. Any questions? Going once? Going twice? Well, thank you for being here tonight at this webinar, Better Than the Paycheck. I appreciate you being here and listening and asking questions and engaging. I look forward to seeing you inside of Too Brilliant to Be Broke. First start with the call. It's a great way to decide on what your next step will be. And if this has been helpful in any way, shape, or form, please write me back. I have sent you a Brazilian email, so you have my email. Let me know what was helpful. I look forward to having you inside of Too Brilliant to Be Broke or working with me in some shape or form. It's really, really important to just remember that one source of income is too close to zero. So whatever skills you have, turn them into things that bring you joy and bring you funds. Not all of them, but at least the ones that are most profitable. And part of my job is to help you figure out which of them is most profitable so that the next 3K to 10K months are possible and you're able to replace your income in due time. All right. Thank you for your time this night. Have a lovely rest of your evening. Bye.